Okay, the evidence that we're going to go through is all pretty straightforward. Um, it's not some conspiracy theory with aliens and unicorns and CIA brainwave rays or any crazy crap like that. It's actual evidence. Um, we're going to go over, I just wrote some quick notes on this. This is kind of what we're going to try to go over in the video. I should probably show you how much evidence there is real quick. Um, there's telephones full of evidence. There's mental health stuff. There's things from deputies. This one's from Deputy Fenwald. It's about the Natalie Bollinger situation. It shows that it is true and it is not a delusion, and we can look at the dates on these and when they signed them and put their names on them and everything. You know, it's not like it's difficult to look up. The problem is nobody wanted to look it up. So we're going to go over a lot of that. We're going to go over some of the injuries that I received and where I received them and what the response was from police officers and other mandatory reporters. There's notes. This is handwritten notes from the jail. We're not even going to get started on the abuse from the jail. Just understand there's a lot. We are going to get into the evidence that shows that CARE and TFCC were aware that at least the abuse itself was going on all the way back in 2022 and 2023. And then we're also, let me try to adjust this so the light's not in the way. Maybe that'll help. Move it forward just a little bit. We're going to start off with showing how far back the people at CARE and TFCC work together. By the way, them and all the mental health places here, they all wanted me to sign pieces of paper so they could share information freely to one another. And as a result, if one of these agencies had access to it, they all had access to it. So one thing is to find out what's different between their files, and that'll help to determine what's missing, some of what's missing. The first thing we're going to go over is this is TFCC paperwork. It's also, there's some evidence in here that shows that they left a lot of important information out, like all of the information that shows that I'm not delusional or schizophrenic. For example, they wanted to leave every piece of evidence of that out. They also, in this, let's move the first piece of paper because this is what we're looking at. Catherine Cius, we're going to look at this one first because it's the oldest one. We've already established the Natalie Bollinger A&E thing is very real and that the consequences are a lot of physical assaults, a lot of being bullied, and a lot of being treated like I'm a schizophrenic, delusional drug addict when I try to turn it in. This right here, I'm going to read it to you. This is the first one that they have in my file. And I want to mention this, that what's in here is missing a lot of it. And there's one woman in specific, her name is Lacey Hawkins, and she came to see me 3 different times. I wrote about the visits and tried to turn in the information on what transpired. She is a mandatory reporter, and this is, multiple pages on what went on there. Sorry, some of that's with Dr. Carter, but with Lacey Hawkins alone, there's a lot of it. One of the things that I sent with that is evidence that I am neither schizophrenic nor delusional, and they were supposed to try to get somebody to put a stop to this. Now, part of the reason for that is because Lacey Hawkins, her and a girl named, a grown woman named, hold on a second, I'll remember it in a minute, because she no longer works at TFCC. She works at CARE, and that's one of the important things too, is that these people are in contact with one another. They do have the same information. They have a lot of the same workers. Many of them know each other from other places. So what we're going to focus on today is how long ago these places knew that I was being abused. And we're going to start off with this one. Catherine Cius. This was at the hospital January 28th of 2023. Yeah. Okay, so I'm willing to show this to any of these people who need to see it in order to get something started here. All of these places have used the term mentally ill to try to prevent my words from being heard or taken seriously. That's gaslighting. They've also used victim blaming and victim shaming. And we're going to go over this because it helps to illustrate the way that they painted the picture versus the information in there that tattles on them. It says, Sean was brought to the emergency department by the manager of Denny's. He became upset and stated that he was being forced to kill himself. So the manager brought him to the emergency department. In the emergency department, he denied suicidal ideations, but stated that he was unable to care for himself. So they were aware of that. Also, people trying to force me to kill myself is not the same as me attempting. See, there's a very big difference there. And of course, I do want to show you this because, I've got thousands of these. This one's an easy one because this one shows, hold on a second, wrong phone. Here, I'll pause it for a second. This is with Kylie from TFCC. She was supposed to be the investigator, supposedly. This message was on April 15th, 2024. And the very first message sent to her is this one. Now, these are just the text messages. This doesn't include the calls or anything like that I made. But it shows literally a message from one of my predators, and you can see here, look at the things that he's threatening to do to my sister and my sister's kid. Okay? Look at this stuff. Look at the accusations that he's making. He's trying to coerce me and intimidate me into pretending that I'm something I'm not. And mind you, these people have done this a lot. I also want you to know that there's a lot of them. So they were aware that this was going on in January of 23, and I'm sorry about this. There's a lot of years worth of abuse, and trying to keep it all lined up is very difficult. You can see the stuff that they're doing here. These are hate crimes, and they've done this over and over and over again. Now, I'm not allowed to defend myself against these people. And we're going to go through this right here, but the reason we're going, the stuff from TFCC, but the reason we're going through this evidence first is because after we've gone through this, you'll get to see that the stuff that TFCC is saying is not only BS. They knew it was BS. So did the cops. So did the people at CARE. When it came to the abuse in jail, CARE and TFCC showed up at the same time on one of those occasions, and they always want to change the topic to housing, which I still haven't gotten. The closest that I've gotten so far is being able to stay a night at their basically warming center. It's an overnight shelter. Now, these are all things that I sent them that were threats against me. And listen to this one. We'll turn the volume all the way up. Hopefully it is already.
Views? Don't get me confused, man. I ain't no fucking PC. I'll stab you right in your fucking eyeball and show your fucking ass. It's no fucking heartbeat. Never.
I think that might have been when he was fucking around with the gun in his seat. I don't know for certain, so don't quote me on that. And this is all from April 15th. So I mean, I'm sending her stuff. Look at this one. This is from this telephone, literally. This exact telephone. Oh, come on, focus. There it goes. You see how many restricted numbers there are that called? A lot. A whole lot. And, you know, I sent her evidence of that too. There's another one. And meanwhile, I'm literally doing what I'm told to. I'm supposed to send screenshots, send links, and when there's stuff that I don't have in those, type to them. Type at them what people are saying. Type at them what people are doing. You know, this is the kind of stuff that people are sending me. I mean, this is not nice stuff that people are sending. And of course, these people are wanting to threaten my life at the same time. So, of course, we're going to keep on scrolling through it. You know, there's absolute... Oh, here's a good one right here. All right, this shows how far back this goes. This is from, like, literally years ago. I had to try to get my sister to come help me. I had to pay her $100 to come see me so that she would come help. And she showed up. She also went home right afterwards, said she made it home safely. I typed very good. And then she typed, I was followed by cops, then had some guy threaten me that if I don't walk away now, me and Destiny are going to get hurt or even... You guys see that? That ain't okay. So, of course, I spoke up about it. And, of course, I'm typing to this lady what other people are saying to me and what they're telling me. And this one right here is evidence of that, too. This guy's literally telling me to do horrible things. Then there's, of course, the statistics on the crimes here in Tillamook, Oregon, as of 2023. Your chances of being a victim of either violent or property crime here is 1 in 24. I'd say that's pretty significant. There's also the videos with Andrew Wolnez that I showed. So, what have we established here? Oh, here we go. This is a fun one. Alright, so this is a video called Misty Water showing I told the truth, Tillamook, Oregon. No victim left behind and racist youth. We're 46 minutes and 25 seconds into it. Youngins here tonight. They're not yelling. They're not screaming or shouting. Who's saying how good is it? Oh. Well, there they start with the N-word already. And I've been telling you this stuff is going on. You know, I sent them evidence of it getting started, evidence of him violating the protection order, harassing me over the racist youth. I mean, there's a lot of it. You know? So, I mean, it's not like I haven't sent them the actual evidence that these things are going on. Remember, those are from between April 15th and April 17th of 2024 from those texts. And now we're going to get into the fact that this stuff right here, when they really push the pretending I'm delusional about my quote unquote friend's death, that this is a delusion, it was after April 15th, after April 17th, when they realized that they screwed up and how badly they screwed up. They coordinated with the police and, of course, lied to a judge. I was arrested on improper use of 911. Why was I calling 911? About my stalker, Andrew Wolnez, and his friends stalking me as well. So she's already tried to confuse, stated that he was being forced to kill himself. No, people were trying to force me to kill myself. And she wanted to change that around to completely to, I am trying to kill myself, or so on and so forth, which is definitely not the case. So Sean has been homeless for quite some time. He is on SSD, so they knew that I was disabled. Says he has no family, friends, or support. He identified himself as at risk. He has been living in his car, but it is not legal to drive, and that's because of the expenses of being abused. And no, it's not cheap for people to destroy my stuff. It's not cheap to keep a car, but I had to have it so that I could travel around and do all the things that I'm literally prevented from doing now because they destroyed my car. She wrote, he has been a victim of abuse as someone who is homeless. I'm fleeing abuse. He has been in Tillamook for 3 months and in Oregon for about a year. So she was aware that I was being abused, but did she focus on the abuse? No, and we're going to tell you why. The 3 things that a mandatory reporter has to do something about, or the 3 peoples that they have to do something about. Any abuse, I believe they should have to turn in. But they wanted to play a bunch of head games with me and pretend that they didn't have to do their jobs because I wasn't a child. They wanted to pretend that they didn't have to do their jobs because I wasn't elderly. And then, of course, the mental health place said they didn't have to do their jobs because I have a physical disability. And the physical disability place pretended they didn't have to do their job because I have a mental disability. I have post-traumatic stress disorder from, well, obviously, all of the assaults, the threats against my life, my friends' and family's lives. And you get to see that it's been expressed over years. Some of these people got in contact with my sister in person to threaten her. So this right here, one of the things that we're going to show about it is, let me see. So here's the BS that they put in there. Obviously, I was disheveled. I'd been assaulted. I was living in my car. My car was getting vandalized. I wasn't able to get any sleep with all the... There was so much. Like, you got no idea. Now, of course, what they try to do is play it off like I was refusing service. No, that's not the situation. The situation was she wanted to over and over and over and over and over again ask me about suicide. That's literally all she cared about, is if I wanted to hurt myself or somebody else. And it was like the 7th time that I'd told her, hey, no, I am not trying to hurt myself or anybody else in any way, shape, or form. I'm not trying to harm anybody, that she started shouting at me, which was not okay. And that's when the doctor came in, and he was a complete and total dick, wanted to push and shove. He was in my way and telling me I needed to leave the hospital. So I had to try to turn that in. It didn't work out so well because at this point they just wanted to pretend that I was making it up. She did write no display of hallucinations, but she did write mild persecution thinking, but with some basis in reality. Denied SI. Yeah, over and over and over again. I was there because I had been assaulted that day. I was in a situation where the cops weren't going to listen. They hadn't been listening, and we got evidence of that. And then it says, because he was creating a disturbance and declining to engage to support services, he was asked to leave and escorted out of the ED. I didn't need to be escorted, and I didn't need to be assaulted before escorted. I just needed to get them the fuck out of the way. I needed them to get themselves out of the way, I should say. So this right here, it shows that they were aware of the abuse that later on in this stuff, John Holland repeatedly tries to pretend are delusions. The reason that this is important is because I've already tried to turn in the staff at CARE and the staff at TFCC over this situation. And they were trying to pretend through all of this, and you can see the days that it's written on here, like 422. 422, is that before or after I sent their investigator the... Let me find it real quick. I'm sorry, there's just so much to go through. It's probably buried under one of these other sheets of paper somewhere. But you already got to see the phone that shows evidence that it was from April. That would be 415 to 417. They got to see the messages showing that these were not delusions. They got to see that I was being abused. I was trying to turn it in, and I was giving them and showing them examples of what I'm going through. Now, this right here is from 2023 on 1/28/2023. So she admits that they were aware of at least some of this all the way back in January of 2023. We'll put that here. Basically, she tries to paint me as at least slightly nuts, which is great. The reason for that is because they weren't willing to give me any services for abuse. See, they're supposed to care if you want to hurt yourself, if you want to hurt somebody else, or if somebody else is hurting you. Well, I went there for the third type, somebody hurting me. And all she wanted to do is focus on if I wanted to hurt myself or someone else over and over again. That's literally it. Even after being aware that at least in some part, this abuse is real. So then we got John Holland here. This is just a few days after that. This writer interviewed the client over the phone regarding a request for a community consultation. Really? It says, due to client's aggressive and threatening messages to the weekend worker, this assessment was completed over the phone. That's the investigator number they gave me. I was supposed to talk to this investigator about the abuse, right? So I sent her evidence of the abuse. Did they put in here anything about the abuse or the evidence of the abuse that I sent them? No, they pretended that I threatened their weekend worker. I thought she was supposedly an investigator. Well, that doesn't work. Meanwhile, this is not the first time that I saw John Holland. This is in an aid and assist situation, and this is over being arrested for, I believe, improper use of 911. This might have been, this would have been the improper use of 911 for calling in about people assaulting me and threatening my life, and some of them using literally Natalie Bollinger's name. And then, of course, people threatening to kill me, which you got to hear there. That very same man came at me and was swinging a pole at me on 2 separate occasions. Now here, even though we already know this stuff is true, and they've gotten evidence that it's true, what he writes, he literally ignores all of that and pretends that I threaten this person. It says, due to client's recent aggressive and threatening messages to the weekend worker, this assessment was completed over the phone. Really? It says, after the interviews, records were reviewed and the report written. The report was then emailed to opposing attorneys and submitted to the Tillamook Circuit Court. So yes, they were putting stuff that they knew to be untrue in the courts. It says assessment client presented with multiple paranoid delusions related to the police and agencies in Tillamook, and that's not all. I want you to note that Tammy Waddell's name is on there and John Holland's. She didn't come out and see me at all, by the way, through all of this situation. She didn't come out until 2 days before she moved to Florida. So they outright lied and misrepresented the situation. They had ample evidence, ample video footage showing that these were not delusions. There's also, of course, the situation with it being so popular on the internet. I got a piece of paper here. Let's go with this side first. This is from 6/19/2024. It says, Deputy Taylor, I am treated like I am delusional over 4 things you can verify are true. Now, I want to stop and state right now that at least 3 of the deputies at the jail remembered the Natalie Bollinger situation. So they were aware that it was not a delusion either. Yet they were basically instructed to pretend that it was a delusion and got in trouble for actually writing this. But this is what made the difference in my mental health evaluations. I showed them this that was signed by Deputy Taylor, and they actually took the time to look up some of this stuff. It says 1. A&E Murder on the 21st, Season 1, Episode 1 from September 2023 exists. Number 2, Sword and Scale, Episodes 109 and 110 exist, January 2018. Number 3, both are true crime shows that reference me, my name, and my picture in connection to a murder I did not commit. And 4, both shows are popular and widely distributed on the internet. I would like written verification from Deputy Taylor these 4 things are true. And he did verify it. Absolutely. The A&E thing, you can read it right there with your own 2 eyes. He wrote, I can confirm that both shows exist and use your name. I know the A&E special shows your face. However, I do not know if Sword and Scale does, because it is a podcast. A&E is a popular channel, and Sword and Scale I believe to be popular as well within true crime audiences. Here's another one where he verifies the Natalie Bollinger thing, that chapter thing that shows that it's still going on with the recordings. There's quite a bit here, including the fact that the guy that killed her is in prison. And of course, 277, that's Deputy Taylor's badge number. We've also got stuff in here from other inmates about the abuse that I had to endure, and other deputies, including multiple of these that are answered by deputies where they replied that I had never, ever fought going into the restraint chair on their shifts. And because I had gotten them to sign it, first of all, they got in trouble, and second of all, Deputy Silvera decided that he was going to make it his personal mission to try to force a situation where he could pretend I was fighting going into the chair. God damn, that was an entertaining situation. That's what resulted in Tammy Waddell showing up the day before she moved to Florida. Let's see. What else are we going to show in conjunction with this? So, that's the first one. Without going too heavy into the abuse that goes on in the jail, anytime that you try to turn in abuse, what they're going to try to do instead of taking the abuse seriously is they're going to call up mental health, and they're going to have mental health try to pull ahead games. One of the things that they did, for example, is I didn't have an attorney. They locked me in a cell in the front. I got to listen to people screaming all the time. Wasn't able to get any sleep. They had a call button on the wall that didn't work, and then they had the staff that went by once an hour and pretended that they couldn't hear me. Meanwhile, I was Told that if there's an issue, I'm supposed to tell the staff. Well, it's difficult to tell the staff if they're ignoring you. So then I'm told that I need to talk to them when they walk by. Well, they ignore me when they walk by. Then I'm told that the call button, if I press it and there's a situation, that they'll let the deputies know. Well, that didn't happen. And, this situation with the non-working call button was ongoing. And then there was the situation where the deputies were highly abusive and neglectful. Like on one shift, there was some bullies there that are officers in the jail or deputies in the jail. Boatman and I don't remember the other guy's name, Barrico. And they just simply didn't want to do their job. I didn't see them through the entire shift until I literally had to flood my cell. I was just being completely ignored and completely neglected, and that's not okay. Like, they treat you so inhumanely. It's so simple to acknowledge someone's existence. Now, by the time this stuff happened, of course, we got a lot more stuff to go over, don't we? This one right here is with Mary Lindsay, John Holland, and Tammy Waddell. Mind you, these are all after they know that I'm telling the truth about this situation. You've already gotten to see the messages sent to them. There's a lot more too, by the way. I went into them repeatedly. It says, client continues to present himself as a danger to himself and will remain in booking and reevaluated in 24 hours. Continues on suicide watch till further evaluation. He will continue to be monitored by jail staff every 30 minutes. He will be reevaluated in 24 hours. So literally, they're allowed to do anything that they want to you because you don't have an attorney. You don't have friends or family that are present. You've literally been arrested for being abused and trying to turn in the abuse to people who you're also trying to turn in. Once the police have committed a crime against you and you've had to try to turn it in, is it going to be safe to go back to that police officer? Probably not. But that's what I've had to do repeatedly. They don't want to see the evidence, and that's most of the issue in all of this. So here, they're pulling the whole suicide crap like I told you they do. And then, of course, it's only a crisis if they want to come out here. They want to call these people out to try to peg you as schizophrenic and delusional. So, let's see. This one right here. He continues to endorse agitation, threatening the officers. Now, she wasn't there for any threats against the officers because there were no threats against the officers. But that doesn't matter because what the officers say must be the truth. It says, and was beating his head again on the window and smearing what appeared to be blood on the windows and doors. I was literally having to use my own blood to write in my cell. Now, how stupid is that? Nobody should have to endure that. But that's the thing about social isolation. That's the thing about victims being locked up for trying to turn in crimes committed against them. This is not okay. So, of course, when you have literally only the option of hurting yourself, that is literally the only thing that these officers will not ignore. All right? I literally had to harm myself repeatedly to get their attention. Now, once I had their attention, I stopped hurting myself. But they had already decided that they were going to punish me for trying to get them to do their goddamn jobs by strapping me in a fucking chair and doing it improperly. And that's not okay either. It is not okay to victimize a victim, especially like that. Improper use of restraints is the least of their worries when it comes to charges. So, of course, this is the way they tried to play it from their end. If they want to pretend that you're suicidal, no, I'm trying to get your attention. I shouldn't have had to do those things. I had no friends or family members and no attorney. I had no representation and I had to try to turn my predators into themselves. Yeah, that's not going to work out too good. So then, of course, when they try to pretend that I'm threatening officers, that's bullshit. They put a little bit of truth in there, but most of it's bullshit. It says he is currently in restraints. Deputies will attempt to take them off. Dude, they never had to put them on. And we're going to go through that evidence too, because we have multiple deputies who wrote down that I never fought going into the restraint chair. And we'll go into those in just a little bit as well. That's the wrong pile there. Okay, so he appears to continue on his state of delusion. Officers will wait till command is at full capacity to collaborate with admin for further instruction on how to proceed with inmate. Morning staff will do their regular check-in. The deputies are aware should they need to transport inmate to a medical facility to reach out again to this CC, and I will meet them at the hospital to help with transition. Now, mind you, John Holland and Mary Lindsay were the only two to come out there during that time. Tammy Waddell did not come out there, and she's the only one who's licensed to make the decisions that these people are making. Meanwhile, they're making it at this point based on things that, well, they know that the abuse is true. They're aware that the abuse is true. And the messages that they tried to pretend were threats against their friend Kylie, no, it literally, they typed S-E-A-N. Yes, my name is spelled Shawn, S-H-A-W-N, but you can tell. Like, these are literally threats against me. But did they care? No, they tried to play it off in court like I was threatening to kill this woman. This is how fucking crazy these people get. When you try to turn them in, that's what you deal with. Now I got to try to turn in Mary Lindsay and John Holland for what they did here, but they got away with it because they no longer work there. Well, they still broke the law. They still broke the law. They lied in court and intentionally misled the situation, pretending that the abuse did not exist, that I had never tried to coordinate with their investigator, who's what Kylie was supposed to be, and this guy was just trying to basically protect everybody involved at CARE and TFCC and everybody else who would be in some major trouble over the assaults I tried to turn in and were ignored. Now, of course, in all of this, we get to see over and over again that they pulled this crap. Same people, too. John Holland, Tammy Waddell puts a rubber stamp on there, but she never came out to see me. And then, of course, Judge Trevino, we tried to turn her in before all this. And, of course, unable to assign legal counsel and is unable to aid and assist. Well, obviously, they kept on pulling the aid and assist. That's literally the same legal term as mentally ill to these people. They pretend that you're too retarded to aid and assist when your attorney is a lazy shit or when you don't have one. So they tried to have me locked up for 180 days on the suicide watch crap because of things that I was literally forced to do to try to turn in abuse. Nobody should have to self-harm to turn in abuse. Nobody should have to self-harm to get attention to the fact that they're being repeatedly assaulted and treated like they're schizophrenic instead of somebody doing something about the assaults. But over and over and over again, it says Judge Trevino dismissed the case. That's over an improper use of 911 because I called cops on people who were assaulting me. How crazy is that? Now in this, I'm trying to find the ones where they're trying to claim that Natalie Bollinger was a delusion. But here it says over and over again, she wrote, states he is not crazy. It appears that he is unaware of his behaviors or his delusions. I'm entirely not. I am entirely aware of my behaviors. And as far as delusions go, well, we've already shown at the very beginning of this video that they are not delusions.